welcome back to another podcast, another episode. Episode 2. We didn't get canceled. Successful.
Yeah. Yeah, as we continue to hopefully grow our following, which
Yeah.
starts from 0 to hopefully something.
Hopefully, we'll get one more viewer or half a viewer or something.
That's right. That's right. Don't mind me too if I adjust like this with my eyes a bunch. It's because I put contacts in. I didn't do that last time, and I feel like I was
Yeah.
squinting a bunch. So now I can see crystal clear, but
Mmm.
I'll be a
On this
little
day, you can
confident.
see clearly.
Now that the rain is gone, I can.
Mmm. But like, June 17th, Dynamite. I didn't watch Collision, so no Collision recap at all.
You
Did you
want me?
watch
Yeah,
Collision?
I
You want to talk
did.
about
Yeah.
Collision real quick?
I did, yeah. I thought it was a good episode. I think the standout match was actually Kevin Knight defended the TNT title against Myron Reed of the Rascals. If you
Mm-hmm.
have not watched this match, and one thing that's I think sometimes a slate on Collision is that a lot of it is predictable. You can assume who's going to win that match, but I will tell you, like Myron Reed. I mean, I knew he was talented in the ring, but he
Mm-hmm.
was exceptional here. Dogs got a big win over the Young Bucks, which was I
Yeah,
don't
that
know if
sounds
anybody
very
was,
surprising. Seen
I
that
don't
on a
know.
recap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. We see a little recap of that on Dynamite. I don't know that it was like super surprising because I think they're kind of trying to tell you after they took out Cope and Cage, the
Mm-hmm.
Dynamite after Double or Nothing, that you're probably pushing those guys to a title match, which we found out they are in fact. And I do believe the Cincinnati Street Fight, the main evented Collision, Shane Taylor Promotions against the Death Riders, felt like it was the end of that mini feud. Hopefully, Shane Taylor will get some opportunities in the future, but Death Riders went up in that. Really fun street fight,
Mm-hmm.
too. And then
Oh shit!
qualifying
Yeah.
matches.
Mm.
We have this TBS title match coming up in a couple of Dynamites here after Forbidden Door, but they did qualifiers for the first time. And I can't remember who Hikaru Shida beat, but she won her qualifier, and then Persephone beat Julia Hart to win hers. So
Oh.
Persephone and Hikaru Shida make up 2 of the 6 spots that will be in the Survival of the Fittest TBS title match on the Wednesday, July 1st edition of Dynamite coming out of Forbidden Door.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting Dynamite whenever we get to that. But we got to talk about this Dynamite, which we had like looks like 3 things announced before the show even started with the face to face to Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. I thought they're having the match tonight. Apparently, I can't read. And an Owen Hart Women's Championship semifinals match: Mercedes versus Hasuki, my favorite Hazuki over there, and a 12-man tag match, which somehow was the main event. Let's go. I feel like let's go from reverse order, main event to the beginning of the show. I feel like that's going to be the best thing to do
Yeah,
for the
we can. I
show.
mean, we can do whatever. We talked about this beforehand. If we want to
Mm,
jump around, yeah. I mean, they didn't have a lot announced going in. Like I was even checking my Twitter feed like leading
mm,
up to the. I think about maybe last checked it a little over an hour before Dynamite kicked off, and I was surprised because they had 2 matches announced. They ended up doing only 4. They had 2 matches in 2 segments, kind
mm.
of sort of segments. The Osprey Swerve was definitely one, and then the other was MJF and Mark Briscoe would determine who their teams were going to be for
Mm.
Forbidden Doors cage match, and
Kind
then
of
those teams would
predictable,
face
but
off.
I'm glad they went the predictable route and didn't get like some random people from New Japan that we don't care about. They went like, oh, okay, we're having these people. We have like kind of story feud interests, and it makes sense for this big steel cage match. Everyone's going to be involved in some little story going into it, and potentially going out of this match is going to lead to hopefully something with like Darby and Kevin Knight. I'm hoping they're on that side.
I know you said we'll start from the back end. Can I,
Yeah.
since you kind of brought it up, I feel like it's
Mm.
a clean segue. Can I just say my piece about this year's Forbidden Door?
Oh yeah, talk about Forbidden Door.
So I think there is a lot of opinions online, and I do see quite a bit of negativity about
Mm.
the fact that the Forbidden Door concept feels like it's no longer a thing. And coming out of this show, you basically have 8 matches confirmed for the pay-per-view. There's one that isn't confirmed, but I think it's coming there, and that's Chris Jericho versus Tommaso Ciampa. So I'm going to run down the 8 real quick. We've got Jericho and Ciampa. That's one I think is going to happen. Confirmed matches. We have Bandito versus Mox for the Continental title.
That's
we have. It will be a really good match. Cope and Cage versus the Dogs, which I'm interested to see how that one goes. We have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Kenny Omega. We have the 2 Owen Hart finals, so 5 and 6. We know one is Swerve versus Ospreay. We know the women's one will be Mercedes versus the winner of Maya World and Athena, which there's going to be spoilers available for that because they're taping Collision tonight from the Save Mart Center in Sugar Land, Texas. It's where everything...
Luckily for me, I don't go on social media, so I have not a clue it's going to happen until maybe next Wednesday.
I think we both are in agreement. It's probably Athena.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So that's 6. And then the world title for the women's side, Tekla versus Starlight Kid.
Oh yeah, and then a little mask thing going on. I like that.
She does. Tekla threatened to rip it off. She threatened to rip it off on Dynamite, so we'll see.
Good job and then paying attention.
I tried. We're doing it differently than last week, but I still feel like I was paying attention pretty good. And then the 8th match is the cage match. So to kind of get into this whole thing, it's an AEW pay-per-view. Forbidden Door has always been an AEW pay-per-view. Now they've partnered and collaborated, whatever word you want to use, with New Japan Pro Wrestling. This year, New Japan, CMLL, Stardom, Ring of Honor, they're all thrown on the banner there. In my opinion, I think this is fine. And I am, as you know, James, I'm a diehard AEW fan. I don't hide from it.
Sleeps.
I've literally watched every single AEW pay-per-view since it came out. I rarely miss Dynamite's. Collision, I'm hit or miss, but I'm reading about it if it's anything worthwhile that I need to catch up on. I am an AEW geek. And as much of it, and I love the hardcore wrestling, and I love the attention to detail with a lot of the things that they do, and I am not so much in love with when they miss on those details. But for as much of an AEW geek as I am, I do not go out of my way, nor have I ever, to watch New Japan Pro Wrestling or CMLL. And there is an audience out there of diehard wrestling fans that consume everything. And there is a further subset of that audience, or an audience, for AEW that, because of AEW, it got them into New Japan, Stardom, CMLL. I love wrestling. I love AEW. I also have other interests in my life. I can't dedicate 20 hours a week to watching pro wrestling. So for me, in the past, like, I went to the first ever Forbidden Door. And I know that people talk about, oh my gosh, one of the best AEW pay-per-views ever. I think it was a good pay-per-view. It's not in my top 5. And I've been to 13, 14 pay-per-views in person for AEW. It's not there for me because that's not the kind of show that I'm into. And I think, frankly, from an AEW perspective, and we don't know if it is, but I think one of the goals is probably to gather more casual viewers, to increase your domestic viewership, to build that fan base and continue to build on it. I think you've already pulled the kind of diehards that you were going to get. Because for me in the past, Forbidden Door season was sometimes frustrating. I'm not saying there weren't great things that came out of it. There were. Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy in person at the inaugural Forbidden Door. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Claudio Castagnoli that year. The following year, Okada versus Danielson. Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. But for me, it felt like Forbidden Door season for a month to a month and a half, sometimes 2 months. It was like, okay, everything AEW did leading up to that point in the year, forget about it, hit pause, put it on hold. Now we're going to get into these feuds with these Japanese wrestlers or these luchadors from CMLL that are not going to win the AEW championships and bring them there. You know that's not going to happen. I'm not saying that everything has to be unpredictable, but you do this, and it's like it for me as an AEW consumer, like it was taking me out of it at times. Like I don't know who, I know them more now, but like, okay, I don't know who Shoto Umino is. I don't know
Yeah,
who, I know people are going to give me, be mad with some of these names, but like Sonata, I didn't know who he was.
yeah.
Sure. I watched him, cool match that he had with Jack Perry a few years ago. It didn't make me go to New Japan Pro Wrestling to like find him. So I don't want to keep going on and on, but I'll say
Mm.
this. Does it surprise me? Yes, it does. There's a couple of names that are off of this pay-per-view that I am a little shocked by. I think right now assuming with Jericho and Ciampa, you have 8 matches on your main card. I think AEW probably adds maybe one more and then 0 Hour. So maybe you see some integration there of New Japan or CMLL, Stardom, Ring of Honor. But for me, this is fine. And WWE, for years, they still do with a couple of pay-per-views, but for years had a pay-per-view called Hell in a Cell, tables, ladders, and chairs. And not every match was Hell in a Cell. It would be 1 or 2 Hell in a Cells on a 6 or 7 or 8 match card. So if Forbidden Door is a 8 or 9 match card and there are 1 or 2 or 3 matches that integrate people from other promotions, that's fine. That's fine with me. I feel like AEW's storytelling has been really good leading into Forbidden Door. And I feel like they have programs that they were kind of somewhat building, maybe even through Double or Nothing. They're now carrying them through Forbidden Door, and they're going to be able to come out of Forbidden Door still carrying them. So I'm probably in the minority with this opinion, but I think it's completely fine that AEW has pivoted from the previous model of Forbidden Door and is treating this just as if it is another AEW pay-per-view.
Well, I'm going to disagree, and I say they should bring more New Japan people. We should see the return of the Great Muta and maybe a legendary, what's that one guy? John Laurinaitis. My name
Yeah.
is John Laurinaitis, and I love skateboarding and razor blades.
Yeah, Tanahashi is going to come out of retirement
Yeah.
after his crazy retirement at the start of the year.
Somehow get Shinsuke Nakamura to come back. New
Yeah,
Japan
I mean,
needs
that
someone
would be
like a
cool.
Shinsuke Nakamura, but that was a whole nother discussion. This is not the New Japan podcast, sadly.
That's right. Yeah.
Sadly.
All right, back to throw me back into Dynamite. I appreciate you giving me the time to do that.
Well, talking about Chris Jericho, talking about New Japan, talking about a big name that New Japan needs. Let's talk about this Chris Jericho Tommaso Ciampa feud. We got a. Let's see, let me get. I feel like we had a Tommaso Ciampa cut a promo. Did you take any notes for this promo? Because I was kind of paying attention a little bit. It just seemed like, oh, it's just kind of talking shit about Chris Jericho, and it seemed.
Yeah, wants Jericho to be serious and is basically saying, hey, this little funny shtick you've been doing since coming back is old now. I said I haven't even hated Chris Jericho. At one point, I think he idolized Chris Jericho, but it's this silly comedic return that Ciampa thinks is a joke. And Jericho said, hey, see me on Collision, and I'll show you how serious I can be. And my guess is, I know it's not a match, so my guess is they will promote that they will wrestle at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, seemingly we're in the minority. People that liked the promo the other week.
Yeah.
And apparently the one I watch podcasts too, and I'm trying to do a little podcast here. But the podcast I was watching, they said it was like Jericho is doing a Saturday Night Live bit from back in the day, which I didn't, I'm too young to remember Saturday Night Live, but they did. He's kind of do like a little gimmick with that. One of the funny bits from back then.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, when he's like, oh, insulting you, he's like, oh, you're blah 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 bald or whatever. Apparently that was a Saturday Night Live bit from way before.
Okay.
So people like it, don't like it. I don't know. Either way, I think Chris Jericho's at least doing something interesting, better than just going back to the Painmaker or whatever. So hopefully this goes
Yeah.
to reinventing his character here in AEW.
Yeah, I like how he's kind of been a solo act for a little bit. I think that's been nice. Are you trying to center yourself to come out through the
Oh
tunnel?
yeah, well, thing is this AI technology. If I have my hand up, it just follows the face thing, and I'm like, eh. Speaking of follow the face thing, we have a promo with Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay face to face. Things get
Yeah.
heated, and it ends up with Will Ospreay losing his cool. He already murdered his wife with good sex, apparently.
Yes, he
Now he's
did.
trying to murder Swerve Strickland
Yeah.
because things got heated. What's your thoughts about this heated rivalries? Get heated going
I
into
think it
Forbidden
was
Door.
again, I think it was good. The one thing I will say is I was nervous through the first couple minutes of the promo that the crowd was going to be pro Swerve
Oh yeah.
over Will Ospreay. The way that Ospreay was kind of talking, and Swerve made a really good point. And one thing I like is they put a nice bow on a long. I mean, we didn't go back and look at the time, but I mean that felt like a 15-minute promo. Um,
Yeah.
it felt like the longest talking segment I feel like I've seen in a while on Dynamite. But it starts basically with Swerve saying, "Will, you've changed," and it ends with him being like, "You have
Yeah, he
changed."
changed.
And I think what was really good, again, I go back to being an AEW geek, is um, they talk a lot about last year. And last year, Ospreay and Swerve pushed, and it was really Ospreay convinced Swerve to side with Will and Hangman because they needed to take down the Death Riders. And it culminated when you and I were there with a couple of friends at All In Texas, and I
Yeah, good
loved
time.
the ending. Such a good ending with Swerve giving the chain to Hangman in that Texas death match. Very powerful storytelling. I think one of the best, if not the best story AEW ever told. And they reference that. And they talk about how, hey, it wasn't my time, it wasn't your time, it was Hangman's time. And I thought Swerve was so good here, where he said, "Will, you told me to do that, and I did it. And where is Hangman now? Have you heard from him? Hangman's not even here. Hangman's not even AEW World Champion anymore. Hangman can't even be World Champion anymore." And says at one point, "If you think I'm just going to let you live out your Wembley dream," and Will talks about that, growing up near Wembley Stadium and
Wanted to kick that
wanting to,
ball.
wanting to kick the game-winning goal inside Wembley, and he's one win away from getting a chance to kick that ball, which I thought was a great line. But Swerve said, "Fuck that."
Yeah, they didn't
And
believe it apparently for me.
yeah, I went back on Twitter to make sure I could get the whole thing, because it didn't only bleep him saying "fuck that," it bleeped like the 7 seconds leading up to it. So I didn't even know what he
What?
said. Yeah. So I thought these two did really well. At one point, Ospreay slapped the mic out of Swerve's hand, went on a rant, and then Swerve made sure to grab the mic from Will. And there is this thought, which is a fair one. Kenny Omega did it too. It's like Ospreay, like why the Death Riders? Why the guys that put you on the shelf? And the segment ends with Will punching Swerve, Swerve getting a chain from Nana, and as he was getting ready to attack Will with the chain and kind of over the odds in his favor, Moxley's music hits, Death Riders surround the ring, and Strickland goes, "You have changed, Will." I thought it was a really good promo. I thought it was a really, really well needed segment to get these guys heated for this match here in a week and a half at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, and especially I feel like that's a good way to talk about the next segments with the Death Riders, because after this segment you have Ospreay doesn't seem happy with Daniel Garcia or the Death Riders coming out there and helping him, kind of losing his control, being really pissed off, and Mox kind of tries to cool Ospreay down, saying, "Hey, words don't hurt," or something regarding. Let me read over here.
Do you have a
Words
quote?
can't hurt you. Yeah,
Okay.
words can't hurt you, brother.
I think, yeah, and Danny Garcia was like made
Yeah,
out to be a
like
complete
a
geek. He already got
he
dummied
felt
with the pin earlier in the
like a
night.
kid in that movie that gets a wedgie and diary one kid by a locker or something. It was like Daniel Garcia
Yeah.
pretty much there. But well,
It, him and Wheeler are like clearly I mean, Wheeler's a significantly lower
mm,
peg, but I mean they're the nerds of the Death Riders. But yeah, Mox, I mean, he
mm,
just told Will, you need to calm down. You feel like you're losing control. And he said, yeah. And he said, can't have that. So Ospreay's got to just keep letting it go as Moxley continues
mm.
to give this death ground therapy to Mr. Ospreay.
Yeah, speaking of letting go, the Death Riders in the fourth match of the night, you get a tag team match with Daniel Garcia and Mox versus Bro Brodito. Brodito's back, first tag team match. I think
Yeah.
maybe this year is their first tag team match together this year. I think. I don't know if I'm
Um,
right or wrong,
I
but
mean, you could be. They certainly haven't been tagging much.
yeah, they've been in
Um,
singles action a lot. They've been focusing on the AEW Championship, and they both have failed on that
yeah,
goal.
yeah,
So they're teaming tonight. I thought it was going to be a easy win for the Death Riders, and apparently words can't hurt, and they lose.
yeah. I had a feeling that something would come up here because again,
Mm,
so when we talked about last week's Dynamite, we had mentioned that going into that, you needed to begin a really good push for Forbidden Door.
mm,
And I felt like this week continued that. You established your core matches last week, and I think you added a couple of you know, I don't want to say B level because I mean that like you're coming out of this, you're going to get Bandito versus John Moxley, which could be a match of the night
yeah,
contender.
which is something I was
Um,
thinking about during this tag team match when it was going on. I was like, what's gonna happen? We're gonna see. I don't.
yeah.
I wasn't. I was thinking Brody King, but I'm like, I don't think Brody King is gonna. I don't know what Brody King does next.
Well, okay, so here's my thought on that. I
Mm,
think I think Brody is eventually getting a singles title this year, and it
mm,
could be the Continental Championship. It could be the National Championship. I say those two because I feel like the international title on Takeshita and the TNT title on Kevin Knight kind of have clear paths ahead
mm,
for the next couple of months. But I think Brody's like he's accrued a couple of big losses this year already.
mm.
Two to Swerve, one to MJF. Like I kind of think you need to
Needs that win
not.
against Mark Davis. I think.
Yeah, like I could see him
I
beating
think
Mark
that'd be a
Davis
good
with the
match.
national title. Like, and I think yeah, I agree with you. I think
I hope if they can somehow figure out how to do that for Forbidden Door, have the meat house match
I
there.
or are they going to
Mm,
give Brody? I could see it being
mm,
slower and like whatever Brody does, he ends up getting like a moment at All In. Like I
mm.
could see that. So I feel like because I don't think Bandito is beating John Moxley. I don't think it's
Yeah,
impossible that he beats him though. Let me say that. I do think
yeah,
there is a chance Bandito could win this match.
an upset winner.
Um, AEW does care about him and they've utilized
Mm,
him. He's extremely talented, but yeah, I mean they had to have something coming out of this. Bandito pins Danny Garcia with the 21 plex. I'll tell you what, there were 4 matches on this show, and
mm.
outside of the like 2-minute opener, uh, everything else felt like 20-minute matches. And this one, they
Yeah,
went through 2 commercial breaks, but it was a really good. Like every match was good. I mean, I guess minus the opener, but like it did its job with Omega squashing Tony Nese.
I feel like
But yeah,
that's a good way to talk about that. You want to talk about the opening match? Have Tony Nese. He wants competition. He wants to face someone. Who's gonna face? Who's gonna face? Are we gonna? So we hear
like him,
Kenny Omega's theme song, and
yeah,
have a good little quick match. Nothing like too long. I didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome. I feel like it was like, oh great, we get to see Kenny Omega start the show.
yeah.
Like who's gonna complain about a Kenny Omega match and whatever you're.
No, and like the thing is, I credit AEW for this because they don't like doing it a lot. Like
Mm,
Tony Nese, I don't see on TV. He's not a believable threat to Kenny Omega. So I
yeah.
would be disappointed as much as you want to see a Kenny Omega match and as coveted as they are these days. I
Mm,
don't want Kenny Omega to do 50-50 for 10 minutes with Tony Nese. So
yeah.
I think he beat him in like 2-3 minutes tops, which was fine. And then that led into TMDK coming out, Zack
Yeah.
Sabre
Because
Jr., Bad Dude
instead of doing
Tito.
like this long match with, let's say, Darby, whoever, do like a short, quick match, have him establish he's still Kenny, he's still got it.
Yep.
Because we're gonna have this great match at Forbidden Door. Saves that energy for this match at the pay per view, which
Yeah.
maybe that's gonna be a banger. Got what's the name of this group? I wrote it down in my notes. TMBK. Apparently, they don't have a catchphrase. They're losers. Mwah, bang. Good night, TBMK. That's a terrible T-shirt.
Yeah.
Shop AEW.com. It's probably there, or New Japan World or whatever.
It might be.
T-shirts.
Yeah, we're
Speaking
kind
of
of jumping around. We're jumping around here. So where did we got the Omega match done. We talked about the Brodito match. They set that up.
yeah, the Okada promo.
Yeah, they took out Tomohiro Ishii, which so you
Mm.
kind of have to backpedal because the show begins and ends with we were going to find out who Mark Briscoe and MJF's respective 5 partners were going to be. And Dynamite actually kicks off backstage with MJF getting his 5 from the Don Callis family. Last week we said Kevin Knight would be one of them. He, in fact, is. Kevin Knight will be joined along with MJF. The other 4 are Kyle Fletcher, Kazuchika Okada, what's his name? Jake Doyle, and Andrade El Idolo, who was not happy about this,
Yeah.
but
It's like, how do you know I'm on the team? Like,
yeah,
how do you know? I
yeah.
don't know.
He told MJF, he's like, you think I'm going to help you? How you know? So,
Yeah, I don't know.
And then at the end of the night, before we get the 6-on-6 regular tag, before we get into the cage, we got Mark Davis's team, or Mark Briscoe's team.
Mark Briscoe, yeah.
And Mark Briscoe's team will consist largely of the conglomeration minus Tomohiro Ishii, who was taken out by
R.I.P.
Pretty
Rest in
Okada.
peace.
So yeah, another New Japan name that's not on the show. Again, surprised me, but so the
Pitbull or whatever.
I just like, what was he doing? He was, I assume, flying in over the last couple of weeks just to be there. Like he didn't wrestle
flew
in
in, he
Collision.
went to catering, got some good food, and then next thing you know, he gets his ass kicked by Brocada.
I just have no idea what's going on there, but whatever. Good for
man,
him.
It's real. This is real.
Well, the trios champions,
they beat him up for real.
They
did. The show.
So real they couldn't show him. So Mark Briscoe's team is going to be the trios champions, which is the conglomeration consisting of Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Orange Cassidy. And joining them, best Superman punch in the game. Joining them are Darby Allin and Konosuke Takeshita.
Crazy.
And they went on and had a crazy 12-man main event that ended with who did win?
Team MJF with a submission hold. MJF makes Roderick tap out. And for the people listening, this guy over here, Carney, was like, "Oh yeah, Mark's team's gonna win." 2 minutes later,
I didn't say that. You weren't. No, here's what I said. No, I said that you're going to have MJF's team go up this week, and then next week, Briscoe will be standing tall to get you into the go home show to Forbidden Door.
I took that as you thought they were going to win.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong actually, because Briscoe's team is going to win at Forbidden Door. Yeah. At least I thought so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe MJF will stand tall again next week. But again, I mean, it was a really, really crazy match. There was a sequence toward the end there with Takeshita and Fletcher that was just awesome. I cannot wait to see them wrestle for this international title. Okada might be in there. I mean, it might be a triple threat at All In. I don't know, but
the question is, will Darby even make it? They keep on doing these crazy spots with him. They did a spot with him getting thrown from the entrance ramp to the ring because it's like the Daly's Place ring setup kind of at where
Mhm.
this cool movie theater. I don't know where it is, but this venue is pretty cool. How these
Yeah.
lights are going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, where was it? I actually looked this up. It was, I know it was Sugarland. It was the Smart
Mm.
Financial Center in Sugarland, Texas, part of the greater Houston area. I think they did like 3,400 tickets, so pretty
Oh, not
decent for
bad.
them. Yeah, yeah, good. And in that event, I mean, I think near to capacity for what they could have for wrestling. So yeah, it was really cool. I love the visual of it while still making it feel like it was a big time show. And yeah, I agree with the whole Darby Allen bumps.
Mm.
Um, but I think clearly what this match sets up is three paths ahead: MJF Briscoe, Darby Kevin Knight, and then Takeshita and Okada slash Fletcher. And then you'll have subplots in there as well, right? Like I think
Did you say
Andrade.
Darby Kevin Knight?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
I think it sets up some subplots with um like Andrade will eventually get his opportunity. Um, I don't know the conglomeration. Does it lead to them doing a trios title defense against members of the Don Callis family? Maybe, maybe not.
Mm.
Maybe they're just kind of in there to be in there. But it feels like it makes sense.
Thinking about something that makes sense. The Owen Hart Women's Tournament semifinals tonight
Yeah.
happen. We got Mercedes Moné versus Hazuki.
Last week I was saying Suzuki.
Yeah. I was like, Suzuki?
Pissed off.
I was making sure.
Pissed off at myself. But I mean, this was a really good match. And I think and I don't know, somebody may find this
Mm.
stat somewhere. I would not be surprised if this was the longest women's match in Dynamite history. Because
Oh, history.
these
Mm.
in Dynamite history, just think about it,
Mm.
man, they don't really give the women a whole lot of time. Like this had to have been close to a 20-minute match.
Yeah. I'm curious.
And it was really
Yeah.
good.
I feel like
It
that a
was
lot of good matches with the women's division back during the Rampage days.
okay, but that's Rampage.
But that was Rampage. It's Dynamite, different things, but
I think on Dynamite, like the main show, like same thing, Collision sometimes. There's times Collision will have like three women's matches. Dynamite's
uh,
lucky to get one.
mm,
Rare occasions they get two. But Mercedes and Hazuki, this was a rematch from um, their previous encounter happened in Japan a few years ago, is regarded as one of the best
mm,
women's matches of all time. This one was great. A couple of moves to the outside. I think the only botch I really noticed at the beginning, Hazuki went to springboard off the bottom rope into a uh, kind of a tilt-a-whirl arm drag. Didn't work. Monet did
mm.
it like a minute later, and it did. A couple of good false finishes, including a couple of I don't think they're not called the bank statement anymore, but
Oh well, I put bank
finally,
statement for my notes, so
well, she finally got Hazuki to tap to whatever it's called now.
yeah,
Maybe it is still called. I don't think it is. It's not Sasha Banks, but
yeah, I know.
the Monet Maker.
Good name.
Maybe
Yeah, who knows?
great match though. Great match. And Mercedes is moving on to the finals.
Yeah, then in the other bracket of the semifinals, we get a Maya, uh, Athena promo talking about this match, get some drama going in. I think seems like an easy shut case.
Mm, through the wall.
Now I can hear you. Okay, I should be able to hear you.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So yeah, let me get my notes. Fina semifinals, Maya's World.
My world, my
My
world.
World. And I think, oh, speaking of promo, we get another promo with the Toxic Spider.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah. Tekla just kind of shitting on Starlight Kid uh and it was also like it feels real with Tekla
Mm,
and she said, basically you're the star, the wonder child of stardom. And she's like, well, that was me.
mm.
I was the face of stardom and I got fired. So
There we go.
I don't know. I thought that was kind of some real like feelings from Tekla. And it's like, you know
Mm,
what? Tony Khan says you're his favorite wrestler outside of AEW. Well, I don't care about that. I don't care about being anybody's favorite. I care about defending this. And like for me, to not have this person from Stardom like physically on site to help build this match,
Yeah,
I just
I
think
hope we
Tekla's.
hope we get to see her on a collision or something. I don't know if they can do that with such a short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, you have next week.
Mm,
So maybe I know they're in Rio Rancho, New Mexico next week is the go home show. So, but even if you don't there, like I really give Tekla credit. I find her as an interesting character regardless, but like she's doing such a good job of, in my opinion, like making me look forward to a match against somebody that I like I don't have interest in just because of Tekla's previous affiliation with Stardom.
mm. Well, hopefully something that's more interesting. Is probably one of your favorite groups, the Dogs, right? You like the Dogs? You like when they come out and talk and beat up
This
people
was good.
backstage?
They got me. They got me because they were
Mm.
they beat up on. I jokingly say they just beat up interns in AEW because every time it's like a signature of their entrance, they come out, they beat
Beat
up
on an
somebody in the stage
intern
crew,
and light them
and
on fire or something.
yeah, they go up to this guy who's got a Canadian hoodie on, and we can't see the guy's face, and it looks
Mm.
like Clark Connors is going to like blow fire into his face, and all of a sudden, the guy with the Canadian hoodie is, of course, a Canadian, because who would be
Ooh.
wearing that in Houston, Texas?
Hmm.
And it is Adam Copeland
Kenny Mega.
who
Oh no.
grabbed it. No, hey,
The cleaner.
but
Bang.
Copeland, he just shuts out the match, and
Mm.
he and Christian Cage are back after a couple of weeks of being gone. They beat the shit out of the Dogs. They run them out the building, and they
Mm.
hit you with a nostalgia promo saying, "You guys are like us from 30 years ago, and we had to learn some painful lessons against guys like the New Age Outlaws and the APA, which neither group really got much of a pop, but
Yeah, they
from
probably would have got more prop. They said the Hardys, the Dudleys, but I
I
don't
think I think the idea behind them not
like the
saying those
older
two names.
veterans. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So,
How about
and
Kane, Undertaker? I don't know. Brothers of Destruction.
that could have worked. That could have worked. But yeah, they just say, you guys are like us. You have lessons to
Mm.
learn, and we're gonna teach them to you. So at Forbidden Door, we have Open Cage versus the Dogs. David Finlay and Clark Connors for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, which I believe we will
Mm.
get Open Cage to retain. I
Mm.
think eventually we are getting them versus the Young Bucks. And I still think, although there is speculation about FTR going
Mm.
back to WWE, I think we are getting the Bucks, FTR, Cope Cage all in.
I hope we see that all in a ladder match, something crazy. Hopefully, you do that. Whoever wins that, then you bring in a new team to challenge whoever wins that. Maybe a former WWE team. Maybe a team that
Ooh,
likes to get rated R. Who? Who?
ooh,
Who?
ooh,
Well,
ooh.
maybe in a new day, we'll find out who that team should be.
Could
For
be
New Day. I don't know what name though would be. Who knows?
the old day.
Uh, how about yesterday's?
Yesterday. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. No, they'll be
Um,
there. I think that makes
hmm,
sense. I think that's a good
yeah.
point. Or they, you know what? If FTR isn't around, maybe they'll be free from their 90-day by, well, they should be by Wembley,
Hmm.
and you'd get them the Young Bucks, Cope Cage. I don't know.
Yeah, because for me, like I'm thinking, if you're FTR, you're looking at the potential of the New Day coming to AEW and the matches that you can have with them. Even though they had matches in WWE, but now with pretty much damn near full control, Tony Khan is like, oh yeah, as long as you don't kill each other, pretty much do
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean I don't know, it's interesting tag teams, I think
Mm,
especially interesting because it's like, WWE for years has been awful with the tag division, and AEW has like it was a company who at the beginning, tag team wrestling was very front and center. I think they got away from it for a little while, but I do think the tag team wrestling has really picked up over the last year.
Mm.
And it's just, but if you're FTR, I think they've won the tag belts 3 or 4 times already. Like,
Mm.
there is a question of like your age, what you aspire to do,
Mm.
and WWE we're hearing is like really looking to rebuild its tag division. Like we're
Yeah, they
hearing
just
Big Cass.
fired a bunch of people, potentially Enzo and Big Cass leaving AEW. Seemingly his contract is up. Not really
Yeah.
using them.
Yeah, and so it's like if you're FTR, do you see a place that makes sense over there? At the same time, you hear the New Day, we're hearing Motor City Machine Guns. You've
Oh,
already got
true.
the
I forgot
Bucks.
about Motors in the City.
Yeah, I mean you've got the
Motor
Bucks.
City.
You've got Brodito if you need them. You've
Mm.
got the Hurt Syndicate if you want to roll them out. You know, there will be more makeshift tag teams. Obviously, the Dogs we've just been talking about. They're number one contenders right now. So like I feel like the tag team scene in AEW is really strong. And I think FTR, like, I don't know how they feel about being the faces of Collision because that's kind of
Mm.
their role. And Collision in several instances has been, I've said it at times. There's been
Mm.
times it doesn't even feel like a B show. It feels like a C show. It feels like a
On a on
2 hour.
a good on a good on a good on a good week, it's a C show for me.
Yeah,
Sometimes
I
I
mean,
can just go and not watch it, like NWA. I'm not watching NWA.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would say I don't know. Maybe it's the
Mm.
AEW nerd in me. Like there are times where I think Collision. Like last week, if you watched Collision, I think you were treated to a like at least a B minus,
Mm.
maybe C plus. I don't know. But like now again though, like if you're FTR, like you were like at least to me, and obviously they've been off since they lost the belts at
Mm.
Double or Nothing. But to me, if Collision's coming to my market more often than not, I would know. I mean, at minimum, I'm going to get FTR.
Oh yeah, they always
Like,
get a good pop. They always do. They always do a good promo. They're a good reason to watch Collision. They're a good staple of the show. And it's like, oh, okay, Collision's announced. FTR is going to be there. Okay, I'll stay and watch Collision because I know FTR is going to be there. It's going to be a good match. The fans are going to go crazy.
so that's my thing.
Mm.
Like, you're not on SmackDown or Raw going
Mm.
to be the face of a brand, and I really do believe that FTR for a couple of years now have been largely the faces of Collision.
Mm.
They've had excellent matches on there, excellent wrestling matches on there. Um, and there's probably a few, I know there's a few I haven't even seen because to your point,
Mm.
when Collision sometimes doesn't feel like it's must watch,
Mm.
you're missing out. But like, I do feel like they have been treated like, like a big time deal in AEW. So, is that something? And obviously, you never know with money, right?
Mm.
You never know with what's being offered on the other side, and vice versa.
Yeah.
What is Tony Khan offering them to stay?
Versus what
Um,
TKO's got to offer.
TK versus TKO in the
Mm.
money. We'll see, but yeah, I know we jumped around overall though. I mean, I think to kind
Yeah.
of put a bow
Overall,
on
what's
it,
your thoughts on the show? I think it's a
really
good
good
show.
dynamite.
I'm excited for next week, and
Yeah,
maybe I might try to watch Collision Monday because I don't know. I'll watch
yeah.
the show pre live or whatever.
I don't even, you know what? I finished Collision last night, so it took me a
Yeah.
while.
I
Kind
was
of
thinking
watched
about
it in
watching it before the show, and I was like, time. It just didn't work
too
out.
much
Plus,
wrestling,
2 hours
too
and
much.
30 minutes, not enough time to watch in 16 minutes before the show.
Which, speaking of, I will mention this: Dynamite went
Mm.
on, I think, a 15-minute overrun. It's a double taping tonight, so the time of you and I
Mm.
recording this, you and I are going to be done recording probably around what, a quarter after 11, 11:20.
Yeah, right now.
And there will still be over an hour of tapings to be done in Houston. So, like, as cool as the venue looked tonight, I'll be interested. If there's one thing I will be curious about with Collision, it's how do they light the venue as it goes
Yeah.
on? Because I mean, like, there is this idea of just over, like same thing, like going into Forbidden Door next week.
Mm.
Okay, you've got 8 matches. I assume you'll add a ninth. Obviously, you'll do your
Mm.
0 hour, but like, I'm very okay with a 4-hour pay-per-view. You do not need a
Yeah.
5-hour pay-per-view. You do not need a 4.5-hour pay-per-view. Um, and you've already got a 12-man steel cage match. That is going to
Mm.
take a lot of time between, I assume, entrances, the cage itself, whatever,
Mm.
like, so my whole thing is like, even for the fans tonight, like it's the middle of the week. I understand it's the summer, but like,
Mm.
okay, that's great for the kids, but what about the people that have to go to work? What about the people
Yeah.
that like drove an hour to go to your show? I'm
Man, I've been
now
there.
living, I know you
Man,
have, right? Like,
three-hour drive from St. Pete from Tampa all the way to Jacksonville. It was kind of like one of those things where it was like, oh no, or 2 hours something Orlando, but it was like out of notice, a snowstorm or whatever, so they weren't prepared to do it, so they couldn't pre-record before. They're like, oh, we don't know, they were gonna go to Texas or whatever, but this time
yeah,
they had plenty of time to go. Okay, we can record an hour here and then record another hour after. They had
yeah,
enough time.
yeah.
Not a snowstorm that I know of.
I've talked about that. Like, if, and I think what they did is they did probably 30 minutes or so of Ring of Honor,
Yep.
2 hours and 15 minutes of Dynamite. And like, my thing is, don't do an overrun if you're going to tape Collision. Because
Yeah,
it's not
it's
like, because
not fun.
it's not like Dynamite goes off the air and boom, 60 seconds later, they're doing a Collision match. Like, they've got
Oh
to
yeah.
take time. The guy comes in, uses a leaf blower to clear the mat. They
Yeah, they
switch the
normally do
aprons.
that. They have Tony Khan. He comes out there and he says, "Oh, thank you guys for staying. I know this is gonna be
Yep.
a long night, but hope you guys can stay another 4 hours. We're gonna do Collision and
Yeah.
a little bit more of ROH."
And it's like, I mean, again, so I get the idea, right? Like, hey,
Mm.
if I paid $40 to get in the building and you're giving me 4 to 5 hours of professional wrestling, that is incredible. That's an awesome bargain. But like in the middle of the week, and when it's not a pay-per-view,
Mm.
and when with some of the collisions, like there's going to be some lulls in the show, like it's really hard to keep people there. I think I think you can get a lot of people to stay till 11. So I agree with
Yeah.
you that if you tape like an hour before and an hour after, I think you can convince the majority of people to stay till 11 o'clock, maybe a little past
Yeah.
11. But once you get into that 11 to midnight, people are leaving. People got to get home.
Only thing I'm thinking they probably won't do that is because people might spoil the show. But I'm like, the show's already gonna be up Saturday and they're recording it later tonight. People are
Yeah.
gonna be spoilers
Are
are gonna
they?
happen regardless.
I would think, I'm looking it up. I think next week's a double taping too. And like, I'm not saying don't do double tapings. Like, I get it. If
Mm.
yeah, it's a double taping next week. But like,
Uh,
I get it from like, from a profit, from a profit standpoint, from revenue generating, like, it's easier to tour once a week than twice.
Definitely.
You've already got the people there. You already have the venue. You don't need to secure another venue. Like, there
Or another
are
day, so you don't gotta go the next day or whatever.
Right, think about it, like, logistically, okay, you're saving money on a venue, you're saving money on the production trucks and the ring crew, you're saving money on hotels and flights that you have to book for talent to get in on Saturday.
Mm.
Like, there are advantages, including, you do have, like, your main players from Dynamite, like, some of those guys should still be in the building. So now you're getting some of the maybe more A-level characters
Yeah, you get
on your
normally get Mox pretty much every collision. It feels
yeah.
like.
Yeah, you get him. Now you're going to get a Jericho Ricochet segment like that. That's something we just saw that on Dynamite. That just opened Dynamite last week. You're now going to get that on Collision. So like you're
Mm.
doing some smart things here, and there are benefits from that aspect. It's just simply crowd exhaustion. Like, but overall though, I will say the crowd that,
Mm.
that stayed for Dynamite, man, a little
Great,
over
great
two
crowd.
hours, but good crowd, hot crowd, 4 matches, 3 really good ones, one that got the point across in the Omega match, some really good segments, and we continue to build to Forbidden Door. I don't think they announced anything for Dynamite next week.
Not
No.
yet. No.
Okay.
Hopefully
So
we
one
find
would
out on
assume,
Collision.
right, you'll get some stuff coming out of there, and we'll
Mm.
we'll be in the go home show to Dynamite. And hey, man, you and I stay up late to do this. You think we'll probably stay up late after Forbidden Door? You want to plan on that? Do a post show there?
I'm down to. Hopefully, it doesn't go till 1 a.m. or something, 2 a.m. or something crazy like
Yeah,
AEW
yeah.
likes to do.
I'll have
If it ends
more.
at a
I'll have more
reasonable
of this
time.
stuff. I'm worried about that. I don't want to keep rambling. I am worried about
Mm.
that because they're in California. So keep in mind that pay-per-view is starting at
Uh,
5
okay.
local time. Like there's no need, like worst case, if you go 5 hours, what, everybody gets out of the building at 10.
5 local time, 8. Yeah, true.
Right. So like it may not be a big deal to them. Whereas for you and I on the East Coast, that show is going till 1 a.m. if that's the case.
Speaking of exhaustion, that's going to be AEW. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to do a long show. They're going to end at a good time.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll find out when we find out. But until next week, hopefully we get some more stuff announced for Collision, and I might watch Collision. I might talk about that next week. But until then, episode number 3, maybe next week. It looks like we're on.
We're good. Yeah.
Hey, like, comment, subscribe, drop a notification on this playlist because I'm going to be dropping random videos. Peace.